Yo, yo, yo. Today we have a legend in the best ball space, Davis Peng, PengsPicks. How we doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Just surviving one day at a time. And trying to get through these drafts. Poodle just dropped, so like I gotta find $350 this week until I can max that out. What about you?
Not too much. I happen to get this amazing intro from somebody that might be here as well. So let's go ahead and run that. Felix, welcome to Best Ball Nation. Dude, that's so cool. That's so cool. I can't help but say it's so cool, man. It's awesome.
I'm glad you like it, man.
Awesome. Yeah, man. It's so cool.
Yeah, so yeah, if it doesn't know, yeah, he's hinted at me. I did create that, but more so because I'm a fan of the show, and I like your logo and all that stuff. I was like, yeah, let's make it fun. Let's do something a little bit hilarious and kind of show like what you're all about.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've been following you for a little while now and trying to find out how to win $1 million.
Yeah. I have all the strategies to win $1 million, even though I lost $10,000 last year. But that was last year.
You've infinitely done it more times than me. I'll say that much.
Yes, that is true, technically. All right. How's going on, Fantasy Football Garage? How we doing tonight, man? Let's see. Underdog. Let's see here. There we go. Alrighty. And we were so close last year to getting into the playoffs with a very unique team last year. We were so close.
I remember that roster. Yeah. I think we lost like half our roster. I think like out of 18 guys, I think we lost like 10 of them or something.
We had Cooper Kupp. We had a whole bunch of like really good starts, and we were like, and we had Carson Wentz who like popped off right
for
off
4 weeks straight.
Yeah, it was a really good start, but then I think we had Carson Wentz who eventually went downhill, and I think we had Jameis or somebody. I don't know. We had like another quarterback that was starting that hit the bench.
And then I think we barely missed too. Like we barely missed playoffs
by 20 points or like 15 points or something.
Also, it's like it kind of reminds me of one of those things I always point out to people. Like you would be surprised with what rosters make it through. Injuries derail you. Dead roster spots are a thing, but you can still make it. Like one of our boys, Green Goblin, like had a 5 wide receiver team almost win like 25K once, and I'm like, if you were told that to anybody right now, like
definitely not. Yeah, you have to have at least 6, according to
6, 7, 8, or whatever, and you're telling me this guy with 5 receivers like brought in like 10K. That's ridiculous, So
yeah,
dead roster spots are like they suck. I get it, but people crush anyways.
You didn't talk to me about the intro. I feel like Peng. Always the last to know. Oh man, yeah. Oh, so this is one half of Hope and Davis over on their channel, man. I literally been watching like every episode for like the last 3 months. I can't say that I was watching every episode, but I've definitely been watching for the last 3 months. I've watched every episode.
If you've been watching for 3 months, you've probably been watching every episode.
Okay. I feel like I've been watching them since the beginning, but I feel like I might have missed the inaugural. And your guys' intro is amazing as well. That's a really good intro.
Oh man, that was a pain to come up with. Because it's one of those like, we get really creative, like, oh, let's do this and then do that and do this, and then and you're like, how do I create it? And you're like, I don't know how to start. Like, what steps do I have to do? So
yeah. Let's see here. We can edit this here in a second. I haven't had 2 people on at once since I've done it. You've reached the limits. Update layout. I don't care. There we go. And
so we're gonna turn it around. We're gonna make it this year.
Yes. This year we're gonna get 3.5 million, and take down the regular. Take down first.
I'd be cool with just $1 million, man. I'm just cool. You know, imagine what your wife would say if you won like your second million in best ball. Like, dude, would she have any room to ever stop you from doing this?
Okay, so weird thing is like the very first time I was close, I was like, oh my god, I almost won like it was like 155,000 or 150,000 or whatever it was. And it's like she's never believed anything after that until it was actually in our bank account. But I've won $50,000 like 4 times, and then I won the million. It's like I think it's starting to be like actually when I tell her like I might actually win, she actually starts to believe me now.
It's like these like cars and things. You know, reminds me of those like old Italian movies where they're like, oh, like what's it like? Johnny has a real job. You know, he's not a drug dealer, mom. Like, like he has a real job. And it's like these like really nice things trying to peer around the house, and it's like you're breaking your mother's heart, like that kind of stuff. It just reminds you of that because there's no way you could tell people this is how you made your your nut.
Okay, so weirdly enough, like I don't talk to anybody at my current job. It's funny that I have a current job, even though I live like I'm working like the most like basic person job, and then we had like a group meeting. We had to tell 2 truths and a lie. I said I've won over $1.3 million in my career in playing fantasy football, and then it was like I've never left the state of North Carolina, and it was like something else. Like I ran
a lie, yeah,
and they're like, well, obviously the 1.3 million. I'm like, oh, actually,
it's so good.
It's like I saw there's like this 50-year-old lady. So her jaw just wasn't like closing for like a good 5 minutes. Super awkward.
That is amazing. I do the choo choo lie at our job too. It's like an icebreaker they have for employees, and mine's always like really like stuff you wouldn't believe. It's like, oh, I was in the I was in the military for 5 years. I don't know how to drive, and something else, and like everyone's like, oh, it's obviously like the military one or something else, or like, and I'm like, it's actually I don't know how to drive. Everyone's like, what? Because they all like you. I'm like, yeah, yep, that's why I live in SF right now because no one frowns at you for not driving. If anything, they praise you.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's just,
I've been up to SF once when I was 8 years old. That was such a cool place, man.
Dude, it's much different apparently.
Is
like
it?
if you,
Okay.
yeah, it's been such a the city's kind of gone downhill in a weird way, but like it's still fun for like tourism stuff. But I it's not the same city from like 20 years ago. Even 10 years ago, it's a huge change.
I'm sure I wouldn't know any different. I was 8 years old, so I saw the Golden Gate Bridge, I saw Alcatraz, and the Ghirardelli factory, and I was pretty excited.
You'll notice it when you see like 50,000 homeless people just like roaming the streets. You go, oh,
man.
You know what? I don't remember that many homeless.
Yeah, dude, I grew up in San Diego, man. It was just homeless everywhere growing up.
Yeah. San Diego does a good job of kind of hiding it, though. I love SD.
Unless you're in downtown, but
oh yeah, you're in downtown. You buy a gas lamp because like gas lamp is generally pretty cool.
Yeah. We lived in La Mesa, which is like by Escondido, and then we were by Chula Vista by the border.
The best burritos come from San Diego.
Oh my God,
I don't give
dude.
a crap.
My dad opened a burrito shop when I was a kid, right before like we moved out to Illinois. My parents got divorced, and he was called King Burrito. Oh my God, dude! I'm pretty sure he wasn't making any money because his burritos were fucking filled to just deliciousness, man.
Dude,
SD
burritos. I shit you not. Anyone in this chat, like, go if you end up in San Diego, you don't get a burrito, you need to be slapped. Like,
if you don't get a burrito, or if you don't get Rubio's,
Rubio's is good too.
Yeah, man.
It's fucking amazing. They're all fat. They're all like $7. At least when I used to buy them.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. You get anywhere else, it's like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, you can eat like anything. I eat like the fucking lingua. I'll eat freaking the breakfast stuff. I'll eat all that shit, and it's always amazing. San Diego does it the best. Like 10 out of 10.
All right, let's go ahead, hop in, and jump in with us if you can. This will be our first BBN 4 streamed, I think.
Oh shoot, really?
Yeah. I've been kind of saving the bullets. I kind of jump in with the RPS people and the stochastic guys because they kind of draft like normal people instead of like Pete Overzet's crew where it's all wide receivers. You know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah. Pete Overzet's like it's like pissing yellow like it's no tomorrow. But his last few streams, weirdly
Yeah,
enough, or not
yeah.
like recent ones, but he did one of like James, and it was like running back heavy, and
Was
if he
it
was like,
okay?
"What is this like?" Is he's like, no, to put it this way, I think like Nick Chubb went like in the first round or something in his draft or something like something that you would never see normally. It was like the most RB heavy room, and like blew my mind.
Oh, I probably should have reset my rankings. I sort of reset it to the default. These are my rankings. You will not see people like Amari Cooper. You will not
Damn.
see Ezekiel Elliott. You will not see those kinds of people.
I love Amari Cooper to an extent. It's weird. Like I don't. He's burned me like just time after time.
Yeah, I don't.
And every time I'm off him, he does well, and every time I buy him, he's like doing terribly. Uh, but he's not bad. Like if you look at his
He's,
actual skill set, he's relatively a good player. He's
he's
just
a
interesting.
good. He's a good player. He takes advantage when he has good matchups. But if it's like an even or like a plus matchup to the defensive side, he's kind of a no-show. Is what I've
That
noticed.
that I will definitely agree with. But there's a lot of players like that. Like
Yeah, and that's why I don't want him. I'll take somebody else that I think could potentially have a little bit more in the third round or fourth round, wherever he's going. It's like, yeah. That's why I've been taking a lot more Christian Watson. I haven't really done too many drafts on BBM, so I'm gonna be looking for your advice more than.
Oh shoot,
we got Mr. Inverted in here.
I got Paul. Oh, I can't see the names.
Oh,
actually,
okay.
if you might be able to move us to the left, you might be able to see better.
How about we try? How do I? Well, let's do.
There we go. That works. This works.
That works. Is that big enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely fine. I can see pretty well here.
All right.
Yeah, we got Paul here who's gonna just shit on us because he's good.
Yeah.
Got Chris in here, Candyman. He's also gonna shit on us. If you haven't seen Chris, he's Fantasy Football Garage. Like he started his streams this year too. Just a chill dude and good content. He does a lot. I was watching a lot of his shorts, and a couple of his write-ups were just like college stuff, which is better than what I do. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
I just can't get in depth as some of these guys do. So like catch Fantasy Football Garage if you get a chance.
I know I follow this person on Twitter, ADAP, because I saw him put his thing for the whatever kind of contest today.
Oh, snaps.
I don't know who. I can't remember the username, but I know I saw that username on the Twitter today. Which you are a legend on Twitter, by the way.
Why did I do?
I mean, you are always making good comments. Like you're witty. You're very quick. I'm like, I would have never thought to say something like that.
I make a lot of gay jokes, I've noticed, and it gets me triggered a lot. Okay. Like everyone's always like, "Hey, you got to slow down with the gay stuff," and I'm like, "No, it's just military humor. Like we're all really, really gay. We're all like, and it's fine. Like we're totally cool with it."
Yeah.
So I've always gotten in trouble for that, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, wittiness. Maybe I feel like everybody on the internet's super witty these days.
Yeah,
so
everybody's so fast with it, man.
Yeah,
I sit back unless like I have something important to say or I can contribute. I just kind of. I'm there, but I'm not saying anything.
I also watch too much TV, man. That's like the problem. Like I watch way too much TV. Or
that is one of the questions I'm going to ask you later. What are you watching these days?
So me and my wife never finished Big Bang. So we actually finished Big Bang. Now we're watching Young Sheldon, which is actually relatively good. I'm not even gonna lie. That's actually like really, really good. I watch a lot of anime still because I'm 12. I just started watching this thing called Zom 100. It released like its first episode this week. It's pretty wild. It calls out a lot of like Japanese like culture right now. It's basically like the guy goes, the zombie apocalypse is better than his real life when he was working.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're into anime, go catch it. It's like really good. They just released its first episode. The guy was like zoning out for 3 years.
Where did we watch this at? Or what?
Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll. Okay.
Who would you take here? I'm just saying Diggs, honestly.
It's just Diggs at this. Yeah, this 3-ish picks past ADP. Yeah.
I'm not a Diggs guy most of the time, but when I look at his numbers, I'm always like, I'm more of a hater than he is bad.
So on UD, I take Diggs, but like on DraftKings, like I'm 100% Amon-Ra there. I just think the workload that he's going to get for the PPR, but
catches 100,000 receptions.
Yeah.
I'm just not the biggest Diggs guy. I don't know if it's his personality or
he's such a diva.
He kind of like burned me a bit when he was a Viking. Like Adam Thielen used to outperform him quite a bit. Oh, we can get all Ron here.
Oh well, I was gonna say, is he good? Like I love Amon-Ra, but I don't know if I'm like
I'm not
If
100%
I just
in
have my
on him.
blinders on it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I will take him because I love him as the player. Because he also won me $1 million. A little bit of biasness.
Amon Ra has won 3 people $1 million. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
you know that. He's won you, Liam, and he also helped somebody.
Was he on the DK or no?
BBM. Shoot, was it Karane's team? No, he's done it multiple times. And that
Okay.
was like funny. Like I think like Amon was questioned once on like 30 team 33 under like the 33rd team, and they
Mhm.
were like, "Hey, do you know like you help people become millionaires?" And he's like, "Oh man, they better split it with me," like 'cause it was the case. But the funny thing is he actually did it for back-to-back years of like just helping people make money,
Okay.
and it's
So it must
kind
have
of
been
hilarious.
Pat because he was rookie the year before.
Yeah, it was his rookie year, but he did well again last year too.
Yeah. So I
And
was going to say it must have been. I don't remember what Pat's team had, but I
I
know
don't think,
Eckler was there because I was watching Eckler
yeah.
run at me. I was at the Chargers Rams game, and he was running right at me for that 70-yard touchdown. I was like trying to give him a hug.
Sheesh.
It was so crazy.
Um, I don't remember if it might have been drafters. Maybe he didn't help him win $1 million, but I think he helped he's helped, or maybe it was a DFS. It was a DFS week. He helped somebody win because it wasn't his that it wasn't week 17, but it was like a DFS week. He helped somebody win like $1 million.
That's
Like
crazy.
he was the main difference or something of like a pick.
Well,
So
he
it's
won
just
me 2K the week 2, I think it was. They played did they play the Eagles week 2 or was that week 1? They played the Redskins or Commanders, sorry.
it was
Uh
Commanders week 2, and he played the Eagles week 1. And he blew
yeah,
off
yeah.
of both of them, but he
It was week
destroyed
2
them in
because I
week
won
2.
$2,500 off of just having him as my captain.
Oh my god. But that's the thing, like Amon Ross just like won so much people money. So like I can't
Yeah.
even hate it. I think he's just not as strong in maybe half PPR formats.
Yeah. But
Um
like if the touchdowns would have the reason that Jamal Williams got so many touchdowns last year is because Amon Ra it was like Calvin Johnson-esque where he got tackled at the one like so many times.
I mean, you it's true, and I would say the same thing for Dalvin Cook. Like Dalvin Cook got saved because like Justin Jefferson would fall at the 2 or the
Yeah.
1 like every single week. So if people think like Justin Jefferson could have had a better year, the answer is yes, because he like lost like 5 touchdowns. I shit you not. As a person that
Mhm.
rostered him in every like redraft league, I can tell you I stared at his scores going like, I'm gonna lose because he fell on the 1, and this asshole I'm facing as Dalvin Cook. Like I'm not even joking. That scenario occurred like numerous times. Um,
Yeah.
so I think Amon's like talented. I think he's a safe pick than he is an upside pick though. That's the part
Mhm.
that kills me.
But
For half PPR, not
yeah,
for full.
yeah. For DraftKings, he's just an automatic. I feel like honestly, I'm starting to take him over Eckler.
Ooh, that's crazy.
Like taking him at 4
Not
because then
against it,
you
but
can
that's
get
crazy.
different combinations. Also, like you're safe, you're getting different combinations, and like there's nothing wrong. There's you can't go wrong with ASB at that pick. Like, okay, Jameson comes back after 6 weeks. I think that only helps ASB get more targets
Yeah,
because he's popping the top off, which is letting the middle of the field open for him.
yeah. I mean, it's the A dot for ARSB is not terrible like people think it is.
Mhm.
It's not like amazing by any means. It's just a lot of safe-ish plays. I'm not against it. Like I would take Amon Ra. He's not my favorite guy in general, but I don't think you can't. I don't think you can argue that's a bad pick. It's just I think feel like it's a safe pick.
So, how do you feel about Stevenson going off right there? How did you feel about Stevenson? I haven't.
I let's grab Najee, man. Like
Okay. Okay. I
I'm a
mean,
Najee guy here. I love
yeah,
grabbing Najee here.
you're not gonna pull
Like
my leg.
yeah. So funny enough, if you've watched our show with me and Hope,
Yeah,
me
yeah,
and Hope debate, and we have a bet this year
yeah,
of
yeah,
it's Najee versus Ramondre. Uh,
yeah. No, yeah, yeah.
so I think Ramondre is like very talented. I will say that some of the stat lines that Ramondre had, I think it's very favorable to him. Like he has a very solid line. Their offensive line coach is really good. Mac Jones was in a regression year. Let's see, who would you grab here?
Well,
You're probably
for
not
me,
gonna like my choice.
I love Christian Watson, but I'm okay to capitulate here with whatever you like around this area.
I always take Judy here these days.
Judy,
I
okay.
like Jerry Judy a lot.
We
I
could
haven't.
always get Russ late, and well, it wouldn't matter. Someone took Christian
Awesome.
there.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. So that's how I feel.
Uh,
Like I feel like he's a strong semi PPR option. So it puts us in a lot of consistency. He's
yeah.
such a consistency pick right now for me. He's high.
Yeah, and you compare if you get like a Charger on the comeback, which doesn't always happen, obviously, but like he fits well with like every late charger. Russ is easy to stack later. You can get him and you can get Dulcich, so you have a little nice little double stack.
Yeah, so I'll come back to like Judy. I have like a crazy amount of stat lines for the man, but for second Ramondre, I feel like he benefited a lot, which is I think the opposite of Najee. Like Najee got like every negative you could possibly have last year,
Yeah.
and still performed at like RB
An
12.
average, yeah, as an average running back, yeah.
No, he not even he was still
Well,
RB
okay, he was
12, right?
RB
Like
one, but like some people got hurt, right? And
yeah,
then, but I agree. Like the man played the first half of the season with something in his foot. It's the
Yeah.
same injury that took Travis Etienne out for the whole year.
Same injury that took Julio Jones out for an entire year.
Yeah, and he
People
played
forget,
through
like,
it, and it was
he played through it, was still relevant, comes
And
back. That
week
O-line sucks absolute ass last year.
so bad last
I
year.
I was watching. I watched 3 games of just like the same snaps just to make sure I was not being biased. There was a parts where like the center was just like in the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere, and they would walk past him,
yeah.
and he's
No, it
just
was
like he's just out
absolutely
there
awful.
like, yeah, it was really really batshit
Oh,
crazy.
and the first thing you always hear, oh, he can't his yards per carry is like 3 point. I'm like, the dude was getting hit in the backfield or had to make a decision. And yes, he wasn't perfect all the time. There was that one play where he was like shaking out somebody. That's not his game. He shouldn't be trying to shake somebody 5 yards out. Like,
Yeah, his not much of a burst guy, but he
no,
falls forward. I think every time he touched the ball,
I
he fell
agree.
forward. He
Except for
falls forward.
except for week 1 where he got fucking obliterated by somebody from the Bengals, and he like got bent backwards. But that was it. Like every other time I think I've ever watched him, he's gone forward.
And then to top it off, he also lost like I think it was like 5 to 7 touchdowns to like gadget plays. He lost it to like
And Kenny
George
Pickens,
Pickens.
like they could have reviewed it and they didn't, and then they tried to run a play and the Kenny Pickett would fumble, and I was like, oh come on, dude, just review the touchdown.
Not even just that, like Kenny Pickett ran a couple touchdowns in. George Pickens ran a few touchdowns in.
I think the running from Kenny Pickett might come down some since he suffered those concussions last year.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So I'm still all over him.
Me too.
So I feel like that's the opposite for Ramondre. Like Ramondre had everything go in his favor. Like
Correct.
all the receivers were hurt, all the running backs were hurt. Mac Jones was in their regression year. Matt Patricia's a terrible offensive coordinator. Like everything that like benefited him, I think is going to go the opposite direction. Mac Jones might be better this year. They're probably going to be a lot better on the offense. Like just all these things that I think you could argue that didn't go in his direction could come back.
So we have Kenneth Walker, in my opinion, or TJ Hawkinson.
I would take Hawkinson, honestly.
Yeah,
I can't deal with Walker.
Okay.
I take him or Kittle.
You take him or Kittle? Okay. I just figured like the ADP value that we were getting there was really good.
Yeah, same. I feel like elite tight end's so strong these days that you have to run with it.
That was nice.
So like I feel like I said, Ramondre is one of those guys I think that he had a lot of stuff that went in his favor, which was the opposite of what Najee got.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So, I mean, we still got we didn't get Walker back. That's fine. I don't really know who I would take here. I would probably take Treylon Kittle. I would take Kittle.
We have Hawkinson, or do you wouldn't be done with tight end?
I wouldn't be done at tight end. They take those double elites and go with it, man.
Take the double elite and go with it. Sounds good to me.
We have 3 stud receivers, honestly.
Yeah. We have 3 good receivers.
Yeah, 3 consistent stud receivers.
Yeah, we just gotta kind of look at our bias.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Yeah. No, I'm saying we just got to keep an eye on it. We don't draft too many 9s and 13s. Yeah.
So then, so that's how I feel about him. Jerry Jeudy, on the other hand, though, had like the most ridiculous stat line. I have him pegged for a really good year, more so than he did last year. High catch rate, could be used all over the field. I think it's injury concerns I'm scared about, but I like Jeudy a lot. And like you said, he's easy to stack. Yeah,
he's easy to stack. My problem is like he is going right where Christian Watson's going for my personal, like favoritism. But yeah, like if it wasn't for him, I'd probably be getting a lot of Jeudy.
I also think like Russ had probably one of the worst years. So the problem I had was Jordan Love, and I was
even if it's not Russ, I feel like they might even yank Russ and Stidham. Stidham's a dude, man. Stidham was a guy.
I don't think they're gonna yank Russ. There's no way. I feel like Russ just had a bad year. And I wrote a whole thing about how like Nathaniel Hackett is just really could be Adam Gase kind of a situation.
Yeah,
I played a Hall of Fame coordinator,
but like
I played with like Hall of Fame quarterbacks and I made bad QBs good. So like put it in perspective. Adam Gase's like coaching history is
Yeah,
I played with
Aaron
Peyton
Rodgers.
Manning. Yeah, I played with Peyton Manning, and I had Jay Cutler's best year.
Yeah,
Right? Then
yeah,
you
yeah.
flip it to Nathaniel Hackett. It's I played Aaron Rodgers and I gave Blake Bortles his best year. Like these are not like it's
Yeah.
almost like exactly the same situation. The only difference was that at least Adam Gase had Ryan Tannehill and got to the playoffs with Miami. I can't say the same for Hackett. Like Hackett was
No,
really bad.
yeah, that was not good. It was
I
not
also
good.
they also just had a lot of things go like unfair for them. Like they lost Tim Patrick before season start.
Hmm.
They
They
lost
never
Jawan.
had. They never had what's it called? The speed guy, KJ Hamler. Dude, if that dude could stay healthy, it could be one really good season.
Yeah, they have no him. They didn't have Javonte Williams. They didn't have
Yeah.
Jawan James. Like, I think any offense that would have gone through those many amount of losses at their core positions probably would have been done too. Even if Russ is good.
I feel like you're talking about my Chargers last year, man. With all the amount of stuff you just named off, it was like we went through the exact same thing.
Yeah, and like exactly
But we
what
at least
happened
had
to
a
Justin
decent
Herbert's.
coach, at least. Yeah.
But what happened to Justin Herbert's numbers, right? Like they plummeted. His
Yeah,
touchdown regression.
That's what nobody's really talking about. Oh man, he did so poorly last year. But it's like the dude was dealing with like cracked ribs. Like
Cracked
I
ribs.
can't. He wasn't running at all, which
He
was a
lost
part
two
of his game.
receivers.
He lost both of his receivers. So we're relying on Palmer. Gerald Everett was kind of like he didn't look conditioned enough to be out there,
And he was hurt too.
Yeah,
And then you guys lost your left tackle.
mm-hmm. He's back.
Like
So that's nice. So.
Yeah, I mean, you lose enough core pieces, like even the best of players are just gonna
Yeah.
be backwards. If they lost Eckler, I guarantee you that season would have been just the worst season you would have seen from Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I think at this point we got to figure out how to I guess correlate. We get Quentin Johnson. Would you take him here to go for Judy?
Well, we had 2 picks. So and Paul has Justin Herbert. Oh, he went Jahan Dotson.
Oh, we can't correlate that.
Yeah.
There we go. We can correlate. This is gonna be my bias list. I usually take Connor here because I just like James Conner.
I know you love him. So I don't have very much Connor, so I will happily take it for.
He'll correlate well with our Kittle actually too.
Yeah. Do we have any? We don't have any Eagles. We won't get any Eagles either.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, not sorry, not him. He'll correlate with our. Damn it! I keep thinking he's Commanders. No, he's just a good pick in general. Anyways, he fits well RB back situations. Yeah. I mean, who else would you want at this point?
I take a lot of Rachaad White, but that's just
really.
But I haven't really drafted on BBM4. He's
so tell me on Rachaad White.
Well, he's gonna have the whole work. I think he's gonna have the whole workload to himself. What do you feel like? I'll talk about Rachaad White after this. Do you want to go with Rachaad White, or do you want to go Rashad Bateman? Or do you not? Or do you like Elijah Moore?
I would take Bateman, I suppose.
Okay.
I think we do need a fourth receiver, but I'm also open to White, and we can just dig deep. But I mean, at this point, we're not gonna get picks for a while.
We're not gonna get We're not gonna get a good wide receiver in a hot minute.
But I was thinking because I feel like we're gonna have to cycle back to either Jared Goff, Russ, or Kirk for the 3 quarterbacks on the next set of picks.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we could definitely do Goff most likely next pick.
We didn't get Johnson. That sucks. I was hoping we get Quentin Johnson.
I know, dude. Right in front of us.
All right, so Rachaad White, go for it.
Oh, okay. So at least on DraftKings, he has the ability to he's gonna have a floor of 10 points just by 5 catches and 50 yards. So on DraftKings, he's amazing because you're looking at a base of 10 points in the 8th round every week, and he has the potential. If they're for some reason going to get somebody that has a weaker run defense, their offensive line played so poorly last year due to injury and I think somebody retired at the beginning of the season that it literally cannot play any worse. So he's going to be the main workhorse, and I kind of feel like they're the team that's going to be the Seattle Seahawks of this year. That Baker's going to play a lot better than what is being perceived that he can't throw an open wide receiver. I think it's going to look a lot better than that in actual gameplay.
I have a lot of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Michael Thomas and Olave on these teams, so I'm hoping that it's that way. I mean, also I just think Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are just ridiculously good. So, I mean, you would have to be very bad to make those guys unusable. Is my point.
Right. And he's not a great quarterback, right? No one's saying that, but he's a good quarterback. He's he's an average quarterback to above average quarterback. And when he was
Yeah.
in, I mean, he had a shootout with one of the best in the game right now, Patrick Mahomes. Like he has the ability to be in those kind of games.
I don't know. I'm not a big Baker guy. I actually think Baker's probably one of the worst quarterbacks that's a starter. But I do think that like he's just in a situation where like it's gonna be very tough to mess it up. And this was kind of my argument with like Geno Smith last year. Like Geno was like a very
And,
whatever quarterback. I think he had his Case Keenum year,
yeah,
which is like, you guys remember Case Keenum's like major year.
yeah.
But he also has like the weapons. And I was saying like do you guys think like Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf
I don't
just
see
suck?
right. And I think that's what we took. We took DK fair, like it fell pretty like right next to us last year. But that's why I'm not taking any like shares of our boy Baker. But because what if the Buccaneers bring in Carson Wentz? Like
Oh, gross. I love Carson, but I don't have
gross,
to wait
but
anymore.
like gross, but it's like perfect for like the Bucks. You know, he has like Jameis Winston type abilities, like interception or touchdowns. Like
I don't know. I feel like Carson Wentz is degraded so hard. I was very in on him last year, and he performed. Like he did really well for an 18 round pick, right?
I
Like he
really
had
don't think he
4.
did bad. I really don't.
Yeah. But he's regressed. Like his last few games just don't feel like the Wentz we know. He was very like Philip Rivers esque,
Yeah.
where he would just like just launch the ball, but he wasn't
I
doing that
feel like
these last
I
few
think
games.
he was forced to like push the ball and do things that he wasn't ready, like wanted to do.
Okay, now we could correlate our if we get. How would you feel about? So I guess who would you target at this point?
I don't know, dude. This is not my strong area. This is where I kind of reach for things or like if I didn't have a tight end, I would have gone Joku, but we have 2 tight ends, so
Would you be cool with grabbing like Brian Robinson?
absolutely. We had him last year. Well, it's running back.
I would say we could either do that or we can grab Daniel Jones. I kind of want Brian Robinson. I do think we need a third, and he will actually correlate with our Kittle.
Oh, that's a good point. Good point.
So he'll correlate with our Kittle. He's a 20 touch guy. This is probably going to be like a very like non PPR team, but
Yeah.
like, and I know people are going to say like, well, Brian Robinson like sucks, but once again, this is one of those. If you're a part of like a bad line, a bad team, a bad situation, things don't work in your favor. And one of those things I talk about a lot was because everyone says, "Oh, he's inefficient," but Antonio Gibson have the same exact like yards per carry. They have the same exact YPC.
And the dude was shot in the leg. It's like
he had the same exact like yards per carry as Antonio Gibson, and people are just like, "Oh, well, we give him a pass because he's a good pass catcher." But that's the same yards per carry. So like even if like Ryan Robinson just starts off where he left off and gets 15 or so rushing attempts, like he'll be fine. Yeah, I think we just grab Daniel, right? Like Daniel Jones is just such a free pick these days. Big guy I love last year.
I mean, I personally would have probably taken Kirk there just for the TJ Hawkinson correlation, but like you can't beat the rushing ability that Daniel Jones is bringing on a day in day out basis.
I think I'd be okay with grabbing Kirk. I do see Kirk fall quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
If
the person at 1 doesn't take him, I guess he would probably fall.
Yeah, he'd probably fall. We would put us at double week 13, which kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But then the thing about Kirk too is like the vanishing games like really suck. I feel like if we're gonna go 2 QBs, like we are kind of established that we're probably gonna go Russ. I feel like when we get the vanishing games, it feels really bad with Kirk. Like last year, week 17, the dude vanished at the peak of a game we needed him.
Yeah. I didn't have him in any, but yeah, I knew what you meant.
But that sucked, right? Like it feels like absolutely terrible. So I don't know if I want to keep riding that boat. I think with Daniel Jones, it's like, does he vanish? The answer is probably no.
No.
And he has
who's there? Who's there to replace him? Really?
Yeah, he runs the ball, and as long as you can run, I think you're like fine.
Yeah, man. I had Derek. I had the worst luck on week 17. One, I stacked every one of my teams last year with a Bills Bengals lineup, and then my only DK like finals like lineup had Derek Carr, Derrick Henry, and neither of them played week 17.
Yeah, and what's funny about the Derrick Henry thing is people mistake that Derrick Henry got rested. He just got injured. In week 16 into 17, but he played week 18, right?
But week 17 didn't matter either way. So he was injured, and it's like, why are we going to put like risk injury? You know, like which it made sense, but it's just like
Oh, this person took Kirk. So they took Whistle. They took Wilson. What the
they
hell?
took Russell. What the heck?
What does he have?
Cortland
Well, I
Sutton.
guess. Okay, I guess that's fair. I don't like Cortland Sutton, but it is what it is.
I don't like him either.
So like the thing was, so you would then so the argument was, well, they rested Derrick Henry. And I'm like, he ran the ball like 30 times in like week 18, right? Like they didn't rest him. He was just literally hurt that they just couldn't use him that game, and they ran the ball 30 times with him the week after. And I look at the stat line. It's exactly they ran him 30 times the week after.
Yeah.
Week 18. He's gonna get the workload. So I feel like these guys that like got rested should feel or got unlucky. You just get unlucky sometimes, and it has nothing to do with what week it is. It has nothing to do with whatever. Like
no, I just ran really cold because of the poor what's it, DeMar Hamlin dying and then
that's so rough, dude. That's so rough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Crane winning it and everything. I just like, man, had he not like or had that game played, like it could have changed everything in general.
I mean,
because that game was starting to pop off. Like it was like what 14-7 in the first quarter.
Think something like that. I know. Like Tyler Boyd got his touchdown like right off the bat. Okay, so we're gonna come up on the part where we might. I guess the question is, would you be willing to take a 0 at quarterback?
Yeah.
For 1 week. I think for 1 week it's fine. Yeah, I mean that's fair. I just think at that point, like I would like to grab the ADP value. I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with Goff. I don't think Goff gets as many great weeks as Kirk Cousins does.
Okay.
Is that what you want though? Like if you're willing to do it, I'm down to climb.
I the
same ADP.
Mean, it's about the same. Well, one, we're getting the super ADP value with Kirk.
Yeah, that's saying like I like the ADP value. We could also find a way into KJ Osborne later, so that we were just really kind of like pushing this narrative that Kirk gets it done.
Yeah.
But I'm also okay with Goff. I just know that he's a little bit on the weirder side because I think he's gonna start slow.
Yeah, I agree. I think
agree with that. Slow.
But do we want someone that starts? We'll go with Kirk. But like, do you want somebody that starts fast, or do we want somebody that's going to have a good playoff push? Because I don't even know if he's going to start slow either because he's playing Kansas City week 1.
I feel like Jared Goff just starts off slow in general. Like he's a guy that I don't know if he gets a ton of 3 touchdowns, and I think he will get it at the end, as we saw last year with like Jamal Williams kind of like stealing every touchdown possible. It really hurt Jared Goff's upside.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's fair. I think that would have been a fine pick too.
I don't think we go wrong either way there. If some kind of crazy quarterback falls to us with a different week, bye week as well, we might take it. But
technically, you could grab all 3. I don't know if I would, but you could.
What are we looking at? I don't know. We might have to.
No, I don't know. That might be excessive.
Yeah. What are we looking at now, though? Should we
we don't need a tight end. We probably could start reaching for receivers.
Yeah.
Because we have 3 running backs that are basically owning.
I hate all of these wide receivers. Do you have a particular?
I take Van Jeff.
Okay, you take Van Jeff. Okay,
I take Van Jeff like every chance I get.
As you can see, I have Alec Pierce like in my rankings a little higher, but
I take a lot of Van Jeff. I take a lot of I've been taking a lot of Panthers lately just because that room is like straight up open. I'm willing to take pop shots on like the Chiefs because you can get like Rashee Rice and like MVS, and you're just basically balancing out your bad and your good games.
Do you want to take KJ Osborne here, or do you want to wait for it?
I would push Osborne because I know you can get him later. Okay. I feel like Osborne's just like straight up hated half the time.
Okay.
I feel like Van Jeff does get grabbed quite a bit. I mean, you think about Van Jeff used to start off in the 200s. Now he's at pick 135, 38 on ADP. I feel like he's well loved.
I actually never. I don't think I've grabbed Van Jeff this year. I'll be honest with you.
Is there a reason for that?
No, I pair him. I pair him with like all the other flyers. I have him with this little crowd here. I put them all together because I was like, I'm tired of like seeing him at different areas. So I have him with Pierce, MVS, DJ Chark, and DPJ.
That's smart.
So I just like if I want one of them, like I'll look right there. But I typically.
I just don't like how some of these guys profiled out. Like Alec Pierce was like weird last year. He dropped a lot of passes. I don't think he's like fully polished. And And I think that like he's not polished and he has a rookie quarterback. Those are like two things I don't want on a player. It's one thing to be unpolished, but you have Aaron Rodgers, right?
I'm
It's
also
another to be
zero on
the
Michael Pittman. I don't know about you. I haven't touched Pittman at all. And
I've
that
touched
could be a
Falling
big,
Pittman.
I could be a big like a big W or a big L if Richardson shows out, but
I mean,
I don't believe it.
the odds of him showing out as a passer is like super slim.
Yeah, I think he's the next Trey Lance, or he's just a fucking bust.
I'm not gonna say that. Like that, I don't know. Like I'm not gonna predict futures.
I'm just saying, like, if we were like to put him on the scale of, I think he's getting way overhyped. That he can't live up to all this hype that's been put on him.
So funny. I was gonna write an article for this portion, and I might as well spill a little bit now. So when I looked at the numbers, if you just take Justin Fields and Trey Lance, you could say those last two guys did not hit their rushing upside the rookie years. But if you take other guys that profile similar to Anthony Richardson, and I forgot where I posted this because I was just like piecing the article together. If you took like Deshaun Kaiser, if you took and we're gonna skip RG3, we're gonna skip those guys. But if you take like Deshaun Kaiser, like Jalen Hurts, and a bunch of these other guys that were more of runner-ish on a bad team, they Josh Allen was another one. And I think like Lamar, if you take those guys, they gave you like 6 to 7 very usable games in the rookie years. And you may remember Josh Allen's rookie year sucked. You remember Deshaun Kaiser sucked. You remember, Lamar Jackson's rookie year being like very whatever. Like you take all these guys, but if you actually look at their points over replacement, their contribution points, they had like 5 to 7 on the season.
Do you know that Zach Wilson gave me a usable week in the playoffs the year I won it?
Did he really?
He gave me a 60-yard touchdown run, and it was enough points because I think that was the week that Tom Brady got shut out by the Saints, and
somebody was talking about that
today. Jared Goff like kind of shit the bed too. So I'm like, I got in by the skin of my teeth through that round, and it was like because of the long run by Zach Wilson, which is so wild.
Somebody actually talked about that. I remember laughing. I was like, "Oh my god, that's the funniest thing!" And now that you brought it up, it makes me laugh a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Crazy. Oh, here you go. I actually I typed it out. I typed it out to one of the chats I was in. It goes, I did this. I remember I did this during lunch because I was trying to figure out because everyone's gonna point to Justin Fields and Trey Lance, and my thing isn't to just like take that and say, you're wrong. So I pulled up the stats for like Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, Marcus Mariota, and Deshaun Kaiser. These are how many games they had over 20 points. Allen had 5. Daniel Jones had 4.
We're on the clock. Hold on. We're on the clock.
Oh,
yeah. I would go with Reed because of the week 17 correlation, but I realize that that's a bit of a reach. So it's
no, we can do it on the back. Would you grab like Rashid Shaheed, more deep shotters?
Yeah.
MVS and those guys and just get more deep shot like.
Do you want MVS or Rashid Shaheed?
I'll take Rashid Shaheed, I guess.
Okay.
I like Derek Carr a ton. I Derek Carr.
I do too, man. And he so I've been my whole strategy when I'm going to be drafting by myself is going to be just I don't care about the 3 million as much as other people do. I want to win the regular season prize, man. And I've been like
talking like a millionaire.
I've been diving into the strength of schedule, and I'm like, man, the Packers, not the Panthers. Well, actually, the Panthers as well, and the Saints all have amazing like schedules. So it's like three late quarterback can easily be the ticket to winning the regular season, or one of those three, like with an elite, might be the way to take down a regular season.
That makes sense. Actually, I know someone was asking me, am I playing for regular season prizes? Oh, and I actually am. I'm actually playing for those quite a bit. Maybe not like the top prize, but
maybe not with this team with the weird buys that we have with it. But like
no, but hitting the field is like huge. Like I think like you can get a 1.5% team if you're a best ball junkie. Like you can get there. If you're a DJ,
I had two or three. And I only had 5 teams or 6 teams advance to the playoffs, and all of those, and 2 of those 3 were in the top. Like I was in the 500, the top 500.
Did you max out
the entire time?
You didn't max out last year. Though,
yeah. I shot myself in my foot with every first round pick with Najee.
Oh, Jalen Reed. There we go. Where's your Jalen?
I
took So I almost maxed out last year. Oh no, I did max out. I maxed out last year. I had 10 or 11 in the 1.5% percentile last year.
Nice.
And one of my puppy threes, Rudman messaged us in our chat, was like, "Hey, like, Like they let us know. It's just like, oh yeah, you finished third overall at Puppy 2. And I'm like, what? I'm like, he's like, yeah. And then luckily they didn't have. I mean, unluckily, they didn't have those regular season prizes last year. I would have been.
I
So I
know,
feel like,
man.
and I made it with really ugly teams.
I really hope. Sorry to interrupt you. I really hope they add this like weekly winners to BBN5. I really hope
Oh
that
yeah,
would make this whole game on a whole nother level so much more fun.
that'd be so expensive though. That would be like what, a $35 entry, $40
Just
entry.
yeah, well, or just adding another million in or keep it the same. Just make the
Take away the
make.
regular season prizes and just put weekly winners instead.
I like both. That's what I'm saying. I want
Oh,
to.
so you want weekly winners, regular season prizes, and the finals?
Yeah, like all
That,
that
that'd, be,
shit.
that'd be like a
That
$50 contest.
no, you just make it. You make the contest bigger. That's all. You add 1 million.
What was it that I said to you in your chat? I was like, oh, this is like the equivalent to adding guac in your
Yeah,
Chipotle meals.
yeah.
Is this what it feels
Well,
like?
I just think it would have like so much. It would add so much like craziness, and no one could be like, "Oh, well, we're only playing for this." And I'm like, you'd be missing out on like $1 million there and $1 million here, and like, I don't know. I just feel like it'd give it would change the way that even like the commoner would play.
Sheesh, Zeke went hell early in this draft.
We would
This
never
guy
see
that's
him.
like just really like whatever, man. Screw it. He
Mickey
put Zeke,
Tank,
Tim
Tank.
Patrick. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Tim
He's
Patrick
getting
went
his
early
match.
too.
Well, he went his stack.
Yeah, but you can get those guys like 30 picks later. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
he doesn't have a badge. I'm not here to badge shame you, but
Bad shaming. Oh, sorry. So I was just gonna finish that stupid stat line. So like I said, I'm not a AR guy, and I always point to Trey Lance and Fields, but these are other rookies who are in the same draft capital range that sucked their rookie years, but had usable. So it was Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, Marcus Mariota, and Deshaun Kaiser. They all had 4 or more usable over 20-point games, and some of them were as high as 30.
I'm surprised with the Deshaun Kaiser one.
Yeah, Deshaun Kaiser has 4. Like,
That's
what the
crazy.
hell, right? Like, so I just think when we
Was
know
was
someone.
it the Josh Gordon year?
No, Deshaun Kaiser. When Deshaun Kaiser was there, he had like
Oh,
Corey
he was the
Coleman,
yeah. No, he was with the Browns. I'm not
Browns.
oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
he sucked, and he's not athletic. He's not nearly athletic as
No, no,
AR,
no, no.
but he ran the ball enough. So like, I as much as I want to
I
sit there
just
and be
remember
like,
him being garbage. So he was actually decent in fantasy. That's
he
funny.
had 4 games over 20 points, 20 or higher.
Well, their defense was actually really bad too, so that makes sense that they had to throw it.
I mean, no, he just ran. He just kept
Oh,
running.
he just kept running.
He threw for like no touchdowns, and
Who
he
was that? Sorry to interrupt. Who was the quarterback that went to wide receiver that played for the Browns? He was actually really good too.
I was making Terrell Pryor.
Terrell Pryor, man, that dude was sick when he played with the Raiders, and like, I wish he would have kept playing at quarterback because he was amazing for fantasy.
Yeah, but so like I said, you don't, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't actually have to be good. So rather
Yeah,
than
yeah.
me sit there and go, aha, like this is Trey Lance, this is Justin Fields all over again, I have to actually think about like, oh, there is some merit. There is
It's
hype
just,
to this, and I get it.
I think it's just a little too much hype for my liking to be taking it at that spot.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. Like that's why I'm not taking a ton of
Yeah.
them. But I don't think I'm gonna sit there and say like this is not the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I don't have enough. There isn't enough 100% data.
We're on the clock.
Would you take Deontay Foreman? Or Gus
Deontay
Edwards
Foreman.
here? I think Deontay Foreman. Yeah, Deontay.
Deontay. Okay.
We're getting him cheap here. We do need a 4th and 5th running back. I think we can grab him. We can grab Gus, and then we have what?
You
7
don't like
receivers.
Chuba?
I don't like Chuba enough.
Okay.
I think like Chuba doesn't explode well.
Right.
I don't think he gets goal line if Miles Sanders is there.
See, I was just thinking like Miles Sanders is just not gonna. He's
Finish
not,
the season.
Yeah, I don't want to put that juju on that man, but like I don't think he's gonna.
What was it that somebody was saying? It's like some things are inevitable, which is like Chuba Hubbard, like just being relevant. Like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's kind of sad but true. But
Yeah,
Deontay Foreman.
But then I'm like also thinking like, well, there's Blackshear as well. So even if the Miles Sanders doesn't get it, like Blackshear's going to be the guy that gets the goal line work. Or
Yeah, I just think Deontay and Gus are just better players, right? Like they're just more goal line-ish, so I just take them quite a bit.
especially and that's why I have a hard. I do. Liam labeled me as a PPR guy, and to be honest with you, I probably am like just a PPR guy. I just see him like
play DK.
Yeah, it's like I'm a big DK guy, and it's like I always forget like I need touchdowns and not just like the passing catch type player.
Yeah, like, you got to get touchdowns in these formats, and that's why I kind of lean up like. So I'm the opposite. I'm a very much like half PPR up the gut guy, and that's why I always have like these like, oh, he goes up the middle for 4. He falls forward like these like team up the gut is what I always get. So AJ Dillon is someone I'm always taking, and like Damian Harris, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, these guys that don't catch passes.
Yeah.
This is a really funky team, but it's funny. I think
Yeah.
this is a funky team.
Dude, our team last year was pretty. Our team was funky last year. We like handcuffed our. We had not only did we have Gibson, we had Brian Robinson. Plus we had like another Washington running back on that team. We had like 3 running backs.
We didn't have 3, but I think we had 2. We had 2.
We had 2. Okay, I just remember it being a wild team.
It was a really jank team, and I remember we passed on Metcalf, and I think we ended up getting like Ayuk or something down the road.
Something wild.
And like it did super well in the beginning, but we lost. I think we had Mike Williams. We lost Mike Williams too.
Yeah. We had big boys. We had Mike. We had DK.
We finished 3rd in that pod, and it was so bad. And I was like, oh, I can't believe this team did as well as it did. Yeah. But it was one of those like the theory played out. Like Carson Wentz is a slinger, and if he plays, it's just gonna get gross. And I forgot who our other quarterback was too. But it was just like, oh, like it all kind of like fit. It's just everybody on that team died. I think at one point, we only had like 5 guys play or something.
We didn't have a full lineup towards the end, I don't think.
Yeah, we had not even a full lineup. So we weren't even playing basketball anymore.
Yeah. We should play. Please play.
Yeah. Please play.
I didn't have very many teams advancing, so it was nice to have one like competitive at least.
Man, that's rough. But actually, here's the funny thing. So people like to crap on Najee as the pick of last year. And I poke
JT was worse. JT was worse.
I poke at you because like you drafted like so much of it, but I think so here's the thing that people will say, oh yeah, well Najee didn't have a good year and his advance rate was ass. You know who had a good playoff though?
Najee.
Najee had an amazing playoff.
Yeah, that's why my like small amount of teams that I got in, all of them made it to all but 3 made it to the semifinals, and then I had 7 in the finals out of like my 30 teams that went to the playoffs.
Yeah, dude's amazing. Like he did well every single week. If you play in full PPR, you were still eating pretty well. You know who was an actual terrible pick? Freaking Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook was a first rounder that I don't think gets enough shit. Like he was absolutely just bad last year.
And then people still draft him in leagues. Ezekiel Elliott was at the very beginning, like big board time, was going in the first round to like mid-second. I thought it was baffling that people were still taking him.
Yeah. I mean, I think right now I would take Dalvin because he's going to pick like 90 to 100. And if teams are interested in a BA starter, then great. But if we're gonna crap on Najee's like very weird season where he played with a rookie quarterback, played with a bad line, like all these things, like I think Dalvin Cook deserves just as much crap because he was not good and he got saved because Justin Jefferson would fall at the 1.
Yeah, it was a very lucky player. Very, very lucky.
Who would you grab at this part? We don't need tight end. And that's what I said. We probably could have grabbed a 3rd quarterback because but we don't actually need it here either.
No.
I mean, if you wanted to get Howell, you could do it against the Kittle stack, but I mean that doesn't really make much sense.
No.
I would just take double down receivers. You want to grab like Hyatt and like Slayton, and just like really just play out this Daniel Jones thing.
Slayton still available?
Yeah, he's still available. He's right after.
Oh, is he? I just didn't see him.
He's there.
I see Wandale. Oh, there he is.
And Wandale, they're all there.
Yeah, they're all right here. Yeah. We didn't even draft anybody for Daniel Jones. Yeah, let's do that.
Dude, they all came late. Like nobody takes these guys. So I'm taking Hyatt now. Like I didn't like Hyatt at his original ADP of like 140-50.
Yeah, I know. That's where I was drafting him on DK.
180-90, I'll take him.
What's it called? I was looking at my first draft. Slayton, you said instead.
Yeah, let's get Slayton. I think. I would take Slayton or Terrence Marshall. I've been taking a lot of Marshall these days.
I like Marshall a lot.
Let's go Marshall then.
Yeah,
that's the last pick.
That makes sense.
So we have some mini stacks.
Oh yeah.
This actually didn't turn out terrible. We were winging it hard, but it was fine.
So we invested a lot of capital receiver. So our top 3 were actually solid. So we didn't we're really just playing that last spot with the flex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not bad. All right, so let's run down the team while it finishes up. We got Stephon Diggs, ASB, Najee, of course. It wouldn't be a draft with me and Davis without grabbing Najee. We got Jerry Jeudy, TJ Hawkinson, George Kittle, James Conner, Rashad Bateman, Brian Robinson, Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, Van Jefferson, Rashid Shaheed, Jaden Reed, Deontay Foreman, Gus Edwards, Jalen Hyatt, and Terrace Marshall.
Sheesh.
I like it.
I
What is
don't
that?
think it's bad by any means. I think the
2.592?
correlation.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
I think our correlation is a little weak, but it's like weak in the right way, right? Like we have two quarterbacks that are probably gonna do well at their ADP. We have the right running backs. We have the guys that are absorbing much touches, absorbing goal line. I think everybody here but Gus Edwards is a goal line guy, right?
Yeah.
We
And
have
even
yeah, go
then,
ahead.
it's like even then, Gus could end up being the guy. Like, there's nothing in J.K. Dobbins' like life that has told me that he is a good running back. Like, there's some people that have a dark cloud over their head, and I feel like J.K. Dobbins has a dark cloud over his head.
I mean, I like Dobbins. I think he's a talented RB, but there is
Yeah.
a scenario where maybe they don't get a contract, or there's a scenario where they just use Gus more, just enough. But Dobbins had a really good finish last year too. If I'm gonna give Najee his credit for a good finish, I'll give credit to him there. But here's the thing: we also stacked our offenses, everything for the most part. I think the only offense we didn't stack up was Detroit.
Yeah.
So we took enough. So we took a quarterback and the receiver from the Giants. We took the quarterback and the tight end from Vikings. We took Washington versus San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
We took two of the Ravens. We took, I mean, and we obviously got screwed on the. We did not get to do any of the work we wanted to do at Denver, like at all.
At
I
all.
think that's the part that stings us there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right next to us, Paul had drafted a Charger, so then he was kind of having some Chargers.
Yeah, but we actually had a shot at Quentin Johnson. He
It
basically
one
let it
shot.
fall
He
to
was
us.
literally one away from us. Yeah.
Oh, Chris's team. So Chris is saying that he hit the playoff correlation. So Chris is Candyman up in the front.
Candyman. Okay, give me a second.
I think it was a 103.
So Chris he got Jalen Hurts, Geno Smith at quarterback. Let's see what he paired it up with. So he paired it up with Noah Fant, Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, I call him Goddard too. Sounds fancier.
It doesn't. So you got Kenneth Gainwell and Charbonnet. So you got the nice running back tight end matches, which is nice.
Then he has.
It's easier to look at. Hold on, let me look at the big board. Yeah. It's easier. So you had Cooper Kupp, Chris Olave, which is they play week 16, I believe, which is awesome.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, actually. I did not know that. I know that week 17 it's Giants versus Rams, and then
it's like
Tampa versus Saints.
It's so hard to get into the finals. So hard. That honestly, these days, you're just gonna naturally run into week 17 correlation that you should almost kind of look at just getting targeting week 16 correlation, because you're just gonna run into week 17 correlation just by like nature of how the ADPs fall.
I mean, that's actually what James does. James actually always shoots for week 16. Eagles, he's very into that. I actually think it's not bad logic by any means.
Yeah.
So he does have Mike Evans against his Chris Olave.
Yeah.
He has Zach Charbonnet. Does he have a Steeler?
Jalen Warren. Oh, that's nice.
So Zach Charbonnet, Jalen Warren, and Geno on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
Kenneth Gainwell to go with it, because Kenneth Gainwell is a pass catcher. Go for Jalen. Yeah, it makes sense. This is fine. I don't know if it's souped up, but it's fine. Like, it works. I think it works. Yeah. And then he has Trey McBride against his Eagles.
Yeah. He had Rondell Moore as well.
Rondell Moore. Yeah, that makes sense. I actually just finished an article about Travis Etienne and a few others. So Etienne actually helped me win. Almost helped me win Puppy 1 last year.
Okay.
And he's actually someone I wasn't like the highest on. Okay. And even after he does it, I'm still not the high on him. I'm always like, yeah, it's fine.
I guess at 46, it's not bad. But when he was going in the mid third, I mean, obviously I was already fading him, but it was almost impossible to click. I guess if I was doing underdog, I guess only 46 doesn't seem bad. But I like Tank Bigsby, so it's like the year that CMC got hurt, I had a bunch of Chuba Hubbard because I was like, oh, I like Chuba Hubbard a lot. He's in his rookie year. Like, he showed a lot while he was at Oklahoma State. that I was like, oh, I'm just gonna fade, what is quote unquote the better player and grab a player that I actually like. That goes later.
So my thing with Travis Etienne, like he almost helped me win my money last year,
Mm-hmm.
but then he also didn't help me win my money last year. Like, do you
Yeah,
remember what happened in week 17 with them?
no idea. I can't. They know they played Houston, right?
Yeah, he goes off. He has like 100 yards and like I think a touchdown or two. You know what happens after that?
They shut them down because they were winning by so much.
Yeah, they shut him down for two entire like quarters, I think. So
Didn't
I just
Jamal
like
Agnew get like a bunch of? I feel like that's what happened.
it was so bad. Like he got shut down completely, and it was just like, all right, cool, thanks. Like my week was over. Like I had two quarters where I could have made more money, and it just didn't occur.
See, I was at the Chargers Rams game, so I wasn't 100% what was going on.
Yeah,
because I was at the stadium, but they had. I don't know if you've ever been down to the SoFi Stadium. They got like the red zone playing out right outside the building. It was pretty cool.
I've been to it. I've been to it one time.
Yeah,
But
not
like I
the
don't
most
know.
convenient place to go to, but yeah.
No, not at all. But like I just remember just getting robbed, and then so I decided to look at like Travis Etienne's like entire stat line, his history, his usage, and his usage is like good. But you also have to remember like what the Jaguars were last year, right? The Jaguars
Yeah.
were a overall limited roster. Like they only had Christian Kirk and Evan. Like the only consistent weapon on the team was Christian Kirk.
Do you
Evan
feel
Graham
like
was fine.
they didn't bring Travis Etienne in? You know what I'm saying? Like they weren't the team that drafted them.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that the reason like they brought in their guy with Tank Bigsby, or was it too late of a round of a running back that it doesn't matter?
I think it's fine.
Yeah,
I would say they brought Tank Bigsby in for a reason, and I think
yeah.
you can relate it back to so like once my article comes out, you'll definitely be able to check it out. But basically, the
Okay.
idea is like who started the running back season last year? You remember
James
who was the
Robinson.
starter? It was James Robinson. He started like 2 to 3 games,
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Yeah.
and he still did pretty well. And then he eventually he did so well that people were like, "Oh, ETN's done." Now I know
Yeah,
everyone wants to
I
make
can't
fun of
remember that
Rob.
now. Yeah.
Everyone's kind of making fun of like Robinson now because he can't make a team. But just
Well,
remember, this guy came off a week 15 ACL tear. Comes
yeah,
week 15,
yeah.
comes in, starts over ETN, plays pretty well, gets re-injured, gets traded. We never hear from him again. But like the narrative is he comes in and takes over the first like 3 to 4 games of the year, gets traded week 6. So from week 6 on, ETN basically had a completely like normal backfield, right? You would think of someone like a first round running back that's supposed to be a pass catcher, all these things would have like a 1,700 yard season. But ETN barely breaks like 1,100 rushing while having the entire backfield to himself for like 11 weeks. Like that's ridiculous. That's actually not that good. And to top it off, he was efficient in like half his games, and he also didn't catch many receptions. There's another stat line for you. How much more receptions do you think Travis Etienne had over AJ Dillon last year? Like
He did.
Travis Etienne,
If I was to say, it would be Dillon that had more receptions, but I guess I'm wrong.
it's Etienne, but only by 2.
Okay. Again, I drafted a bunch of AJ Dillon, so to me, I was like, he caught a lot of passes. So
He caught about 43.
yeah,
So the Packers caught 115 receptions between two running backs.
yeah,
AJ and Dylan caught 43 of them. ETN only had 45. So like
yeah.
there's like no stat line here that like goes like ETN's like the guy. If usually when somebody gets just all the games to themselves, they have an Antonio Gibson like season, his good year. They have a CMC like season, right? But he didn't have either that. He had a very like middle of the pack season for a guy that had the backfield to himself.
Okay, so and another reason why I'm like on top of Tank right now is because I used to watch because I was really big on Bo Nix and Anthony Schwartz. I was like a big fan of that little
Oh,
combo they
Nick.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really like a big fan like that year. And then but they kept talking about Tank Bigsby being like an NFL prospect, NFL ready, blah blah blah. Then
Okay.
Bo and Schwartz goes, they all leave, and it's just Tank there with a terrible offensive line, terrible. I'm like, what if this guy is just the guy that just was on a bad college team and did what he could, obviously.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm actually more of that. I think Bigsby gets that roll up the gut
Mm-hmm.
roll. He gets the goal line. I think ETN is just not this pass catcher that we think he is. He had a game where he caught like 5. He had 5 targets, got 1 reception, and like 0 yards. Like
Yeah.
I just he doesn't stand out to me well enough. And then when you bring in more weapons, so this is what I was trying to hint at earlier. It's like Christian Kirk was the only consistent weapon on this team. Evan Ingram is very whatever. Zay Jones is pretty much very whatever. Like they were
Yeah.
still solid, but now that you bring in Calvin Ridley, you upgrade your line a little bit more. Like, do you think like ETN just like is the focal point of this offense? And
Nope.
I just don't see it. And also Doug Peterson, just think about Doug Peterson's history as a coach.
That's what I was
How
thinking too. Yeah.
he's never had like these guys usually get hurt. Actually, that's been kind of the curse. And I'm not saying that ETN gets hurt, but I think there's a split there because Travis Etienne is the first 1,000-yard rusher Doug Peterson's ever had as a head coach.
Did you know that whatever his name is, Shanahan has never had a 1,000-yard rusher?
That's so funny. I actually didn't know that.
Obviously, had CMC been there the entire time last year, he probably would have broken it. But I mean, even then, I'm like, he does put his players in a lot of like dangerous situations, I guess, or something, because they always get hurt.
Yeah, so I just feel like that's why I think like Tank comes in. I think Doug Peterson's been so scarred that he's lost so many quarterbacks. I'm sorry, running backs, that he's just like, yo, this is where we do it. And now he has I hate to say it, but like a MVP level quarterback, right? Like Trevor Lawrence is amazing. And if they start passing the ball more, running the ball more, letting Trevor Lawrence get loose, like I just don't see a situation where ETN just becomes that guy. I think you can get very good boom bust weeks though. I think you can get like these amazing like 30-point games, or 20-point games, but I feel like you can get that with a lot of other running backs and more consistently through the season.
Yeah.
So I mean, shout out to ETN for helping me win my money last year, but like I'm not stoked on him. I'm not like gonna let him get a free pass.
He's not going to be your, like my Najee, where
our Najee, okay? He's our Najee now, all right? I have like 30. I don't have as much as you, but I have like 34% Najee.
So after my 25-hour live stream, where I was just like, I'm taking them every time I can, and I got them up to 80%. Not like it's a little bit of a risk, but my strategy with DraftKings is I'm going back to what I did 2 years ago, where I had like a combination that wasn't like 100% owned by everybody else, which was like grabbing two people from the same like kind of section and I'm grabbing Najee with Christian Watson. I think they both could be league winners, and they kind of go in the exact same area, but they never go like at the turn. Like they're kind of in the middle. Like on DraftKings, it's like 40 and 46, so it's not like they would fall easily together, and they have no correlation. So there's like no one's really thinking about like, oh, I want this to go with this. So they're uncorrelated. They both could be league winners based on their strength of schedules that I like. That it fits perfectly in. They have the same bye, which is a little weird, but like overall, like they also bring in pieces. Like I love JSN this year. I know that we could get Tyler Lockett at the same spot and he'd probably be the same production, but like I love JSN for that matchup. I think he cooks Patrick Peterson or any kind of cornerback they have on, there. And then if you get Christian Watson at that turn pick, you can get like a TJ Hawkinson, which is a great week 17 correlated play as well, and you get an elite tight end.
So my only thing I have against Christian Watson, and not just like him in general, like I think the idea is smart. It's just that he is like very much everyone's gonna point to this. Like he could be Gabe Davis this year, and I get it. And I'm not gonna like point to that as a whole. I just don't know how I feel about Jordan Love. But I will say, if I was to ever take these bets, and I think this is why I was making fun. I mean, not making fun, but poking fun at your last year for Najee, was that like round one is the hardest to take a stand on, right?
Well,
like round one.
Okay,
round 4, I think it's like a great play. I think taking stands at like round 4, round 7, round 8, like do your guy. Take 100% whoever at round 8, because that's not going to kill your roster. I think round 1's been the toughest to say this guy is so much better than 10 other guys.
I definitely felt that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I learned, obviously, of
course.
But but if somebody was going to win taking Najee for the one spot, it was going to be me. It was like if somebody had Najee, and it was going to be me because I had every combination of like a second round. I was taking them like with different types of players. I didn't like do what I did this year, where it's like I'm taking this player because they're so close to this player, and not very many people are going to take this combination of players.
That makes sense. I think like taking them at like 20 to 30% is like fine. I think like, when you're taking them at 80% in round 1, you're basically saying like 90% like he's basically better than every first rounder. And I don't know any first round player that I've ever felt that confident about. I feel like they're all pretty even. I think I can guess about 2 of them. Like I just don't like. Like last year was I wasn't the biggest on Najee, and I wasn't the biggest on Dalvin Cook, right?
Yeah.
But like that's it. Like I couldn't sit there and go like, I don't think JT's good. I don't think Justin Jefferson's good. I don't think Cooper Cup's good. Like I just don't think like none of those guys. I don't think there was someone that was that much talented than all 12 of the guys in the round one. I think you can argue that there's 4 guys better than the other 8 guys,
Mhm.
but one guy better than the other 11 is like such a tough call. And I
Yeah.
think that's why I was like, that's why it's one of the hardest
Well,
picks to do.
and my theory last year was that I'm going to have every combination with this guy that I think could be the guy, and I liked his schedule so much last year, which it probably would have been okay had he actually been able, not had a metal plate in his foot. But
Yeah.
he, like, I wanted every like situation with him with like a second and third rounder. I tried to mix match like in every which way. So if it like we had a super riser come up, I had him.
I think that the logic on that makes a ton of sense. I just
Yeah.
think it's hard that like when you look at it though as a whole,
Right.
it's just so hard for like first round guys to be that much better than everybody else.
Right. Yeah,
And
he wasn't. I took the L on it, but it was just more of the theory that we got to beat almost over 1 million people. Like,
I think round 2 you can do that. Though. I did that
yeah,
with round 2 last year. I was taking like Saquon up until round 1. I was taking like Tyreek Hill in round 2 almost all the time. I just hated like a half of round 2. I think it's easier to hate more guys in a round the
hmm
further we get down. I think just round one's has been the toughest for me because I tried that in the past. Like, oh, I'm very in on David Johnson and like very in on Eddie Lacy, and I'm always like getting burned on those type of like I think this guy's like the
yeah,
nuts at round 1. But there's a reason a lot of these dudes are at round 1. We can always point to 2 or 3 busts, but usually the rounds are like 6, 7 to 9. 7 or 9 guys that are pretty much relevant. Round 4 last year was like the worst, right? Round 4, like the entire round 4 was terrible.
yeah. Well,
I just
ASV
think,
was like came kind of close to the round 4 area. He
yeah,
was like round 4 and 5, and like that was the only pick. That was probably the only pick I hit all of last year. I called at the beginning of the year. I was like, he's gonna be a turn pick next year. Him and
you
Gabe
actually
Davis.
said that to me. You said that to me
Yeah,
actually during our thing, and I was like,
yeah,
oh shit, like you're
yeah,
really in on Mon Raw,
yeah,
and
but the
you had him
Gabe
on Raw,
didn't
I
turn
had
out. Yeah,
DK.
yeah.
Gabe is tough though. It's tough to love Gabe.
I think he's an absolute smasher where he's going this year.
Oh,
Like,
I'm drafting this year,
yeah,
all
like
day.
he didn't. I mean, yes, he disappointed but like, did he really? Because he still had 1,000 yards receiving. I mean, if you're looking for what he did, the game against the Steelers is a perfect example of why you want him. It just didn't happen during the playoffs, and it wasn't as consistent as everybody wanted it to be.
I mean, the playoffs corners are really bad too. Everybody
Yeah,
torched them. Everybody torched their corners last year.
yeah.
I think like
And they
AJ
didn't get
Brown.
much better. They didn't get the Steelers didn't get much
Better.
better. So
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I just find that some of that stuff is tough. I think that's a good. I think the play you're doing this year makes a lot of sense. Like, I think you can lose round 4 guys, round 3 guys, like round 5 guys, and like succeed. Because think about it, Mike Evans was a round 2, 3 guy last year, and he was on a lot of DK actually. He was a ton of DK. He also helped people win puppy 1, 2, and 3 this year. So I think you could take L's at like round 2, 3, and so on, just depending on how you're taking them.
yeah,
I just don't know if I could take L's at round 1 at a very high rate. I think that's
yeah.
a tough call. But I think
But I mean,
Christian Watson,
I also had a little bit of a little bit of cash to throw around to make that mistake the hard way.
yeah, and plus like Christian Watson and Najee aren't terrible anyways. I think that's like
Yeah.
a totally fine play.
And their strength of schedule is just so nice this year. And I don't know like how many people are actually playing for the strength of schedule or if it even matters. But it's like the way I looked at it is like I took down, if you were like in the blue, I took you 5 down to try to bring you back to the middle. And if you're, trying to like put it in the median a little bit, that's what I'm going to be doing this week is like actually looking at players lost, players like added. Does it hurt? Does it help? And whatnot, and kind of go from there.
There was a great article that another team company did. They actually count the spending on O line.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
PFF did something, and it was like Madison something put it on Twitter today, and it was like upgraded the returning starters and like the PFF grade, whether like from last year to this year.
Oh no, not that one.
Okay.
This is someone that they did a month ago. This was like
Okay.
spending at the line. That's all he counts. He just counts how
Money.
much a team spent at the offensive line this year, and number 1 was Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
And he actually was able to correlate if a team spends at the line, this is how much they like effectively become better. And I'll send you the article. It's a really good article. I thought it was probably one of the better ones. And I'm like, this is what we need to look at.
Yeah.
I know like you used to play offense. You used to be an O-lineman, right?
I was a big boy. Yeah.
So like
I was
you
165
no,
pound offensive lineman.
no, but like it's a real thing though. Like offensive linemen are just we always talk about winning in the trenches, and everyone talks. But when they
really
say
do.
that, they think of like the defensive linemen. But you think about how bad some of these O-linemen can be in the league and how
You know,
bad this affects your team.
when
So
the
the spending is
Chargers
a
lost
big
for
deal.
Sean Slater, we just kind of went downhill. Like, we couldn't protect him at all. And it was like
No.
we had to change our passing game, which is why everybody's complaining about our A-dot last year. But it's like we lost for Sean Slater. We have to like dump it off as quickly as possible.
Michael has a question.
Any strong takes on players, either situation skill based or ADP versus true value?
I mean, everyone knows I'm kind of like jerking off like James Conner very hard.
Yeah,
I
Michael
do think that is
Thomas and
my second one I was going to talk about was Michael Thomas. So Michael Thomas is one of those guys like him and James Conner. I just love their situation, and I called this in April. Like I was like, hey, these guys are a tier break. You laugh now. I guarantee you, there's gonna be somebody saying like, oh, this is a tier break, right? Like Michael Thomas is like the epitome of where the tier break starts at receiver, right? It goes from him to Jameson Williams, who's suspended for
to
6
Zay
games,
Jones
to like
now
Tyler Boyd,
now Romeo
Lazard.
Dubs. Yeah,
Yeah, it feels gross.
yeah.
And you can say, well, he hasn't played games, and he played 3 games last year, right? Like he played 3 games last year. He contributes in 2 of those games, amazingly, by the way. And then his 3rd game, he would have contributed if he didn't get injured. He went 5 for 5. He went 5 targets for 5 receptions, 6 yards. If you want to see like, does he still got it? Just pull up the highlights. Just pull up Michael Thomas highlights last year. Every catch he had was a highlight. Every catch he had was a contested. He smoked AJ Terrell, who was like the top 3 corner coming into the season.
And he's
And
getting
he did what
strong this
Jameis
year,
Winston.
man. Was it like 400 pounds? He was deadlifting
Like
the other
the
day, man. Whew.
he's not a physical monster, and I think this is
But
why
he
a lot
might be now.
no, but like Michael Thomas isn't a guy like Des Bryant, or Alshon
Yeah.
Jeffrey, or
He's not
AJ
that type,
Brown, where he
but
has to like manhandle his receiver, the cornerbacks, right?
yeah.
But I look at him and I go, he's just a tough dude. He just like I said, pull his highlights up when you get the chance after the stream, like, and you'll go, wow, like he did that last year, and like great, and he's being paid. He got paid this year to bring. So he actually recruited Derek Carr. I don't know if everyone knows that. Him and Tyrann Mathieu recruited Derek Carr, and Derek Carr recruited Michael Thomas to stay with the Saints.
So I listen to the Stotastic guys, but Matt Gajewski, he hates the Saints, and I'm like, dude, everything in the Saints shows like they are investing in the offense this year. The defense might be shit this year, and they invested a whole bunch into the offense. Like they might, and their strength of schedule is I think they are literally number 1 or number 2 in strength of schedule for the quarterback, receivers, and tight ends. Like they're about to like. They might be the next like show on turf, but, a random quarterback that brought in. It's a little bit older, great receivers. I don't know. It's just
so I call Derek Carr the contract maker. Like, think about like all the players that Derek Carr's ever played with, right? Hunter Renfrow, who got a contract because he played Derek Carr. Nelson Aguilar.
He might go down there, by the way.
Yeah. Nelson Aguilar is another guy who got a contract because of him, right? He got a big contract with the Patriots. Zay Jones, a guy that we thought was out of the league, right?
Because he ran. Was it my Chargers or was it the Ravens? He just like ran a fly. Nobody guarded him, so he got an easy like 30-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
But he put it on the dot. So it's like
Michael Crabtree was another guy that went over there and like put up work. People were done with Crabtree. He was like a 28 to 30 something year old receiver, and like Crabtree has like 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns when he goes to be with Carr. Like Derek Carr is like the contract creator. He created another contract for that old tight end, Jared Cook.
Okay, yeah.
Jared Cook was like 30 something, and he gets a contract again because he's like, oh wow, look what we did with Derek Carr. Let's send him to the Green Bay. Like he just creates more contracts.
Was it who's the coach down in New Orleans? Is it Lane? Not Lane. Lane Kiffin. No, not Lane Kiffin.
I don't actually know this answer.
But didn't he coach for the in Oakland?
I'm not sure, but I do know they brought in Riverboat Rivera. Sorry, no, they brought in Jack Del Rio over there. So their original coach they had that did that great year to actually help create an offensive book for Derek Carr.
Okay, I kind of remember there was like some kind of like coach course correlation that like when he first got down there, I was like, they're trying to do everything in their power for that offense to pop off, and that offense was halfway decent last year with Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
and
So,
no offense to Andy Dalton, Derek Carr is a step up,
well,
100%.
way step up, and
Yeah.
he's not even old by any means. So I think like my guys that I liked were these like really weird tier break guys this year. So like Derek Carr is a tier break. All the quarterbacks after him, if you tell me you're comfortable with those guys, I think you need to like recheck like how much you hate Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas, James Conner, like I just love these tier break guys because they fit in every roster. James Conner fits in hero RBs. James Conner fits in um RB0. Derek Carr fits in 2 RB teams, 3 RB teams. Michael Thomas fits in every wide receiver team because the tier break is so bad that it just works out. And he costs you almost nothing. He's like wide receiver 40 right now.
No, it's ridiculous.
So
On the opposite side of that, what quarterback don't you like?
I
trouble with that.
I hate rookies. I have the unless they're runners, like straight up, I have a hate boner for Bryce Young. I have a hate boner for CJ Stroud. No, because they always go to bad teams, right?
Yeah.
Like
None of these are good teams, man.
They go to bad rosters. Think about Trevor Lawrence, who was probably one of the greatest prospects we've had since Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
Right? And he went to like a bad Jaguars team. He went to a team where they had like Jamal Agnew and who's that former first round pick that just did nothing for the Vikings? Laquan Treadwell, yeah. Right? Like, and everyone's like, he's a bust. No, he played with Laquan Treadwell, like a guy that's on his like 17th team. You know, exaggeration, but not really. And he like made it work, right? So I think like when you're a rookie on a bad coaching, like new coaching staff, bad weapons, like so I did the math for this like 2 years ago. I was like, if you took all the quarterbacks from Matt Ryan till now, up to Justin Herbert, and you put them together to build like what is a good fantasy rookie year, who do you think you get?
Since Matt Ryan
till up into
Cam
Justin
Newton?
Herbert.
Cam
No,
Newton?
because he would be an outlier because he just ran the ball like nuts, right? If you're talking about like a passer and
you're talking about
a passing guy, like a passing guy with a little bit of mobility, like who would you get for the rookie year?
Oh man,
because Stroud and Bryce Young are passers, right? They're passing quarterbacks.
I can't. Russ, I guess. No,
he didn't pass
that much. Though. Yeah, he didn't pass very much. I don't remember. Sorry.
Your best year would be Baker Mayfield.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Rookie year, Baker Mayfield would be the quarterback you're hoping to get in their rookie year. And then you could say, well, Justin Herbert. Well, Justin Herbert set a record. Like guys don't come out and set records. That's why they're called records. They're not like things that you can do. So like if you
on the average, above average, is what we're
if you were to grab an above average separation year, you're getting Baker Mayfield. Like that's who you're getting, and you're like, that's a good rookie year.
Yeah.
Right, like so, like why am I taking CJ Stroud and like Bryce Young like to like maybe get Baker Mayfield, right? That's why I don't crap on the AR picks. That's because when you pick AR, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, you're hoping for like RG3, you're hoping for Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, you're hoping for like those runner guys. But if you're not a runner, you're getting Baker Mayfield, and like I don't know, like a good rookie year.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Oh, and Eric says, Herbert. But my point is, like Herbert set a record. Like I'm not
an outlier. You're trying to find somebody in the median. And
Justin Herbert had who did Justin Herbert have? Right, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler.
We were already a playoff type team. We just we just didn't have a quarterback at that time, and we wanted him to take us there. We just didn't know that he was going to be that good.
Yeah, like no, they didn't have Nico Collins, Robert Woods, things like that. Like really, like
someone's coming from cancer and like no offense to Dalton Schultz, but like
Adam Thielen,
he's not going to elevate your quarterback.
Yeah. So like you put those two guys together, it's like what do you get? So I hate rookies. I hate rookie quarterbacks the most. I'm not in on Jordan Love. I know you are, but I do understand the pick for him, so it makes sense. Like I'm assuming you're taking him.
Yeah, because I'm going really heavy on the strength of schedule with Christian. Yeah,
which makes sense. Like I'm not against that. He's been in the league for a couple of years, so he's not really a rookie. So I do give him a lot of like that. I also hate I say hate because, but I really do mean it.
Yeah,
When I say
well,
I'm
you
just like,
fade. Who you're really fading is who you hate or whatever. But
I'm fading Baker straight out. As much as I like Mike Evans
yeah,
and Chris
same
Godwin and stuff,
here.
I'm
Yeah,
just fading them. But like, yeah, straight up quarterbacks, I just fade rookies. I think they're like the biggest trap. Unless you know they're a runner, unless you
yeah,
can guarantee on paper these guys is gonna run the ball like 80 times, I just don't want it.
yeah. Don't talk about my boy Woods. Sorry, Eric. Sorry. Yeah, he was talking about getting Woods like every time, and there was a whole debate at like 2 to 5 in the morning about Robert Woods and a whole bunch of people.
No, so Robert Woods like round 18, like I don't care, that makes sense.
Yeah,
But I don't know if like Robert Woods is gonna take was this who is it, Bryce Young or Stroud? I forget who's over there right now. Bryce Young, Stroud to like quarterback top 12 quarterback numbers.
yeah,
Therefore, like, what am I getting with them? And the answer is probably not.
yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna take Davis to the Patreon set of YouTube. So we're gonna end this broadcast. So if you are a Patreon member over at Best Ball Nation, I think let me see if I can pull that up really quick and click it to the chat so we can have a nice little fun getting to know Davis on a whole nother level. I have a little questionnaire I wrote right before we got on. So it's probably there you go. If you guys want to hop on over, it's $5 a month. It's more just supporting me. But if you do come in, you get my rankings. And if you get the amount of people that come in, you have a shot at a free, $100 back. We're doing a tournament if you win. Or if you come against me in the championship, you get $100. So,
Sheesh.
yeah. So it's really not really a lose-lose if you have a shot at winning $100. So, alrighty. All right, gentlemen. It's been fun. It's been real. It's been real fun.